What's up, guys? You still haven't gotten Ring Fit Adventure? You gotta get this shit right now! It's the top premier thing of the local PNC right here, Ring Fit Adventure. That's how they stay in shape! You gotta get it! Get it now! Ring Fit, it's in stores! I think, I don't know. Ring Fit Adventure, get it now! This is how you support your local PMC. This is how you become as buff as a beefcake to be in the local PMC. Get it now! Beefcake! Beefcake! What's up, guys? Back again with another slime review! We're reviewing some slimes today. You can see the slime tower here, the stack of slimes. We got this slime, which is a glow-in-the-dark slime. This slime, which is a king slime. Isn't that wonderful? It's a king slime. Blimey, that's so wonderful. These little tiny slimes. He slime and she slime. Isn't that fantastic? The slime review. Reviewing some slimes. I got a slime on my head. What's with that? It's a regular slime, but there's also a metal slime version of the slime hat. What's with all the slimes? We're doing the slime review. It's the slime review. Only here, you know, this is the review. This is what we're doing, right? It's the slime review. That's what you're here for, slimes and Dragon Quest. Reviews have changed. It's no longer about reviewing the game, or the movie, or whatever. It's all about the atmosphere, the skits before the review, the things around the review score at the end of the review. People skip right to the end to see the review score. reviews have changed. It's no longer about making a quality, well-edited review. It's about just spilling out everyone and all of your thoughts. In an age of reviews, where there's limitless reviews all across the internet, reviews become routine. In the age of reviews, one man sets out to review the last game in the franchise that he loves so dearly. His favorite franchise of all time. Metal Gear Solid. What's up, guys? It is JZNES back again with another review. I've got a bandana belt on my head, just like the Metal Gear Solid 3 review. Did the cold intro there, you know, the commercials, Metal Gear Solid style with the ring fit thing and the slime reviewer there. I don't know, it's something I came up with off the top of my head there. And I could talk like this for the whole review, but I'm not gonna do it. My friend could do it a lot better than I could, but I'm not gonna do it, especially not for the whole review, because that would be really hard on my voice. I'm probably not gonna wear this the whole review either, because it would look really dumb. This is old Jay-Z. He's shedding these silly things like this. This is a serious review for serious gamer guys and girls and whatever. It's my Metal Gear Solid 4 guide from back in the day. Alright, let's get down to it. I already wasted so much time doing the weird intro. But I had to do it because it's the Metal Gear Solid 4 video. It's one of the most important videos that I'm ever going to make because Metal Gear Solid 4 is my third favorite game of all time. I've already reviewed number 1 and 2. Now you're getting to hear number 3. I've actually technically reviewed number 4 too, in a sense. I made more of a is it stable for beginner kind of video on Persona 4 there. I haven't reviewed anything past that. I did review Link's Awakening. That's in my top 10. You can go check out the list of my top 10, top 100 actually. Anyway, Metal Gear Solid 4 is a game that I waited for years, and I remember when it was kind of announced and riding off of the hype of Metal Gear Solid 3 and 2 there, which I don't think fully completed. Well, yeah, I think I had completed them by that point. Maybe not 3 though. I remember there was some effort to at least replay these games before 4 came out, because we were all super hyped about 4 for a long time. I was in high school at the time, 2008. It was summer. I do remember that when I got my hands on the game. I believe the game was pretty much brand new right when I got it, which was a few years after the PS3 kind of had launched there. Because I think that was like 2006 or something, right, when the PS3 launched. So the 360 was like 2005. But anyway, so, and I hadn't jumped next gen. I was still playing 64 and PS2, I think, at the time. Well, yeah, obviously PS2, because that's what I was playing these on. But I loved, obviously, Metal Gear Solid 1 was one of my favorite games back then. And then 2 and 3 I also really had an appreciation for. And I used to just replay this trilogy of games, like, constantly. And when Metal Gear Solid 4 was announced, like I said, I was super hyped, and all my friends were super hyped. I remember seeing the trailer, quote-unquote, which wasn't a trailer. I think there was a trailer before that, and there was some kind of trailer that was released on the Subsistence version, I remember, for Metal Gear Solid 4. Or maybe it was just that joke thing. But there was a trailer, which was just the part of the game that comes directly after. It's just the ending to Act 1. It's just like one of the cutscenes from the ending of Act 1, right when you walk through that door and then you like see Liquid there, and then he activates the thing with the system, and all the people go berserk or whatever. That they like showed that off, that like 10 minutes of that, whatever, that cutscene. So we're all super confused, like what the fuck is going on here with Naomi, and then like I was stupid and I didn't know that Meryl was supposed to live, so I was kind of confused why she was there and alive and stuff, because all I ever got was the bad ending where Otacon lives and Meryl doesn't, which makes more sense, honestly, to me. But, yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to start with that one. Let's go back to Old Snake, because that's a really crucial song here, the whole soundtrack. So yeah, I was, like I said, a big fan of these games, and I remember seeing that, and it was like mind-blowing, just seeing the graphics and whatnot back then. Like, shit, the graphics still hold up like super well today, if anything. Like, they're still really impressive. And for the time, the game was like unmatched in terms of graphics and in terms of story. Still in terms of story, it's in terms of cutscene length, it's still pretty much fucking unmatched. There's like it holds the record for like the longest cutscene or whatever. Like an hour or something of a cutscene, and like the post credits cutscene. Sorry, spoilers. The post, I'm serious, spoilers. I'm actually gonna spoil things, so don't watch this if you haven't played the game. Spoilers. Really? Yeah. Did I say spoilers? Yeah, I said spoilers. Yes, I did. Now, the post credits cutscene which I always thought was eternally longer, and I don't even remember if I stuck around to see this the first time, because I remember like being surprised by it like later on after I'd beaten the game or something like that, because I just figured, oh, it's just the credits. I didn't even stick around through the short credits to see spoilers, the scene where Big Boss is alive. So that post-credit scene goes on for like 30 minutes, which I thought was a lot longer, but I looked it up on YouTube, and it's only 30 minutes long, so that's not so bad. But it feels like forever. Not necessarily in a bad way, but that is one of the longer cutscenes where it's like on repeat viewings, like, Jesus Christ, it just goes on, and it's a great ending to the game. It is. I don't know why I'm jumping straight to the ending, but it's a great ending to the game. It's just, holy shit, man, that fucking cutscene. All the cutscenes go on for like forever, and there's a lot to get across, because the thing is that when Kojima made this game, he wanted this to be the last Metal Gear Solid game, because everyone kept saying he was done after each and every entry of the series. Oh, by the way, this is the actual copy of Metal Gear Solid 4 that I've been using for years and years. Actually, it's not in there because it's in my PS3 right now, which I forgot to take it out. Also, they've got that Snake, and like you never play as that Snake, but they wanted to put him in all the marketing and the fucking strategy guide, which is amazing, by the way. This fucking guide, which my friend borrowed for like years, and he lost it amongst his yearbooks or whatever, is incredible. It's not only a guide, but it's also like, it also has like, fuck, where is it? Yeah. It also has like a lore dump of all of the stuff leading up to Metal Gear Solid 4 there, which is really fucking cool. I remember just used to take this around and read it everywhere, because it's like, you know, there's so much interesting shit in there, and the lore of these games is just fucking insane. Like, there's so much to connect and put all the pieces together, and I finally kind of have a grasp on it. I'm not going to be going super deep into all of that, because I don't like I haven't like brushed up on it in a while, but like I will go into whatever is relevant for me to go into. So yeah, but I just remember seeing that, cutscene. I remember seeing like the Mark III design, which was based on the Snatcher robot from Snatcher or whatever. I think at the time I played Metal Gear Acid, and that was one of the cards in there was the little Snatcher robot or whatever. So I kind of knew about the Mark III, and I was like looking at it. I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. It's like a helpful Metal Gear for once. Like, that's really cool. Little did I know you were actually going to build the spoilers. Pilot Metal Gear fucking Rex to fight Metal Gear Ray. How badass was that? That was the coolest thing ever, right? Fucking blew my mind the first time I did that shit. Spoilers also on Shadow Moses Island, which you get to go back to, which is one of the coolest fucking things of all time. You get to trod through the same land that you were in the first game, and there's so many references that I just found out today from the Metal Gear Solid Integral podcast. By the way, there's a fucking podcast on the iPod in the game. You have a fucking iPod in the game that you collect songs for, and there's a goddamn podcast, an in-game podcast that is actually lost to fucking time, except it's on YouTube and stuff. It's lost to time in-game, except for some saint fucking put all of the download content onto a new server that you can like go through. You have to like switch around your something or another on your PS3 and then do all this complicated shit. You can get all of the downloadable stuff still because somebody's running a server somewhere for this. Just look it up. It's a YouTube video. Fuck yes, that's amazing. Because I was super bummed that I wasn't able to get, wasn't going to be able to get all the stuff when I was playing it like last year when I went through it again. But no, I can get all the stuff now because have all the stuff because that download server was there. I don't know how that was relevant to what I was just saying, but anyway, so yeah, Shadow Moses, it's fucking cool. Like, how cool is that? You get to go back to Metal Gear Solid 1. That area. Oh, and thanks to the Integral podcast, the Metal Gear Solid Integral podcast, which I ever only heard the first episode of until, like a few years ago. Because I just kind of forgot it was a thing. And then I would always listen to that first episode in the game, because that was always on your iPod. And it always was like, oh, download more episodes or whatever. And I never fucking did, because I'm an idiot. Until more recently when I when I downloaded them through that server. But they told me there's a cool little secret in Shadow Moses Island on the fourth area there in Shadow Moses Island, where if you like pan the camera up over Snake, there's actually a little bit of dialogue that he has that I have never heard before, where he's like, just like old times or whatever, like. So that's fucking cool. And then he does the same thing. He says like a similar line if you pull out the SOCOM pistol and like aim it or whatever in a certain spot. I think you have to be on the heliport to like make that happen. But he's like, just like old times, something like that. It's just, it's really funny and cool. And I didn't know about that until just today. And the Integral podcast told me about that. So that's really cool. So, yeah, but rewind. Go back. So, I remember seeing this. I remember seeing all of the cool things leading up to it. I remember seeing the gecko design, and I'm like, oh shit, there's like a lot of Metal Gears now, and they're just like everywhere, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I remember that. That was really neat. Let me think. I didn't have a PS3 at this point. So I was really hyped, obviously. I was super fucking hyped. This was like my most anticipated game ever. And I'm like, there's no way it's going to live up to all this hype. And luckily I have had a job. And I don't have the same job anymore. But I had a job then that I had for like, since like 1 or 2 years before that or something. Actually, I had other jobs before that even. But not the point. Point is, I had a stable enough job to where I could like, I had money to go and just buy a PS3. So I bought a PS3. I bought Metal Gear Solid 4 with it. I bought a PS3 for this game is what I'm trying to say. One of the big black piano ones that wasn't backwards compatible, but it was still pretty cool. So I bought that for this game. And I had played all the Metal Gear games up until that point, except for Snake's Revenge, which I even asked. I haven't played Metal Gear 2 either, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, but I played Metal Gear for the NES on an emulator. And I even asked the guy, like, what about Snake's Revenge? You know, just like from the Ego Raptor video. Like, are you from Snake's Revenge? And he's like, nah, dog, don't worry about it. Just, like, fucking, you'll be good. You don't need to play Snake's Revenge or whatever. It's just so funny that I even, like, consider that. I only knew it because of the Ego Raptor video, too. Snake's Revenge. Anyway. So I brushed up on the lore, all that shit. I think I bought this guide, like, with it, too. So I bought the guide, I bought the game, I bought a PS3. So yeah, I just went full in. You know, that was like $400 to get that PS3 at the time. The game was obviously like $60. I'm sure that guide wasn't like inexpensive. I'm sure that was like 30 or 40 bucks too. Maybe more. I don't know. That's a nice guide. Actually, I have another one too that I got that's in nicer condition that I found in Disc Replay for like 10 bucks. So that's pretty cool. It's like one of the best guides ever. Just saying. Anyway. Basically, I went all in to get this game. I was super hyped about it. I knew it was the end of the franchise. Essentially still is the end of the storyline, so, like, I'm still content with that. Because this was such a perfect ending to the series, that's why I always get so mad. I was so mad at there being a Metal Gear Solid 5 for years that I didn't play it because 4 to me was the end of the franchise, and even Peace Walker was kind of pushing it for me. I remember when I played that back in the day. I was excited about Peace Walker, but like, I wasn't exactly jumping out of my seat that they were doing more Metal Gear games, but I like understood why that they could like do the big boss storyline or whatever. But I don't know. Metal Gear Solid 5, like, for years never really appealed to me because Metal Gear Solid 4 was such a great ending. I ended up really liking Metal Gear Solid 5 later. It's not as good or story intensive or any of that as these games, which is what I love about these games. But it is that era of Metal Gear, the Peace Walker, Portable Ops 5 era. It's all very connected or whatnot, gameplay-wise and story-wise and stuff. It all feels very similar, that newer era of Metal Gear, which I still like that era. But, that's a whole other topic that I've already gotten into technically on a review that I already did for Metal Gear Solid 5. So we're reviewing actually the last of the, other than Portable Ops and like Peace Walker and stuff. We can talk about this some other time. But like the last of the main numbered Metal Gear games. Right now we're reviewing that, actually. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, I bought a PS3 for this thing. I remember the fucking night that I got it and I brought it home. And I remember setting it up on my big old tube TV in my mom's living room that I have upstairs now, actually. Oh shit, I should have showed that off in my room tour videos. Maybe I'll do like a little side adventure for that later on to show that off because that's kind of cool. Anyway, so I set it all up. Didn't even have like a flat screen TV or anything at the time, so it wasn't even in HD. But I still fucking set it all up, and it was fucking mind blowing. I had like the greatest experience of my life. I remember the few like nights that I just like stayed up like all night, and I had worked the next day for like 8 hours or whatever, but I just stayed up all fucking night and played these games, played this game, and it was just mind blowing. I just remember the experience the first time. It lived up to the hype, and it surpassed the hype, which is what I always say about it, and that's why it's my third favorite game, is because it not only lived up to the hype, but it fucking crashed the hype. It surpassed the fucking hype. It went above and beyond the hype, just like Persona 4. It did that. And not only that, but it was the perfect ending to my favorite franchise of all time, which is fucking awesome and amazing. So I'm going to try to do it as much justice as I can, but there's so much to talk about that I just kind of wanted to give my first forefront. And you can hear all of my other stuff about all the other games and the other reviews and whatnot, but this franchise means a lot to me, because it is my favorite franchise of games or anything, really. That kind of anything. Yeah, my favorite franchise in general, I would say. Metal Gear Solid. So I guess Dragon Quest is a close second. But fuck it. It's my favorite franchise. It's great. It's fantastic. There's almost not a bad game in the series. Yeah, there really isn't a bad game in the series. Outside of some of the bad outside of Survive and stuff, which doesn't count, okay? It doesn't count. All the other games are great. Even Peace Walker, which kind of sucks. It doesn't suck, but it's there's some bad elements to it, but it's still a pretty good game. That's probably the lowest one of the totem pole. We can talk about that some other time. Anyway, so Metal Gear Solid 4 is the culmination of all the story and the gameplay and all of the stealth elements, and it pushed the action elements even more. It was a very crazily innovative game for its time. The fact that it still plays and holds up as well as it does, not that a lot of games from that era don't, but some games don't. The fact that it's still so playable, and it just feels so natural today. Even some of the older Metal Gear games, not that they have problems, but the controls are a little old school, but this feels very modern in a sense, and I think that's really cool. I think that the game really was very innovative for its time, and it just has so much that it pushed for not only the genre but gaming in general. And the whole Metal Gear franchise kind of pushed for this whole cinematic elements kind of thing in video game, but I feel especially at this point, this is where games kind of really took that and ran with it, because this was the biggest and best cinematic sort of game where you're literally watching a movie sometimes. The briefing scenes can literally be almost movie length sometimes. That's insane. But it does it really well. The story is so very, very good. It's incredible because it wraps up everything to this point. Every little minuscule detail. This is why the cutscenes are so long, and everyone complains about that. This is why they're so long, is because it has to wrap up every minuscule detail, because Kojima didn't want to make another Metal Gear Solid game. And really, Solid Snake's storyline, there's nowhere else you can really go with that. Now, they did make Metal Gear Rising, which also was kind of a thorn in my side for a long time, because I'm Raiden got such a good ending in this game. Spoilers, I know, I already said that a million times, but seriously. That he kind of decides to go off and be with his family, because his whole arc throughout the whole series is that he starts off, he doesn't really know what he's fighting for. Snake tells him, find something to fight for. And then he's he's trying to fight alongside Snake. because he kind of looks up to Snake and idolizes Snake. And what's ironic about this, and I think I've said this before, but now I can really dive into it. What's ironic about Raiden and his character versus Snake is originally Raiden's character was meant to be so the player could experience Snake in a more they can look up to Snake and see how much cooler Snake is than them. So there's a new element and a new layer to Snake's awesomeness, in a sense, because you're seeing it from a new perspective from this rookie who just had a bunch of VR training and whatnot in Metal Gear Solid 2. Okay, you end up finding out he's a child soldier, but Solid Snake is like this legendary hero that everyone idolizes and looks up to, you know, almost like a big boss sort of thing. But the thing is, then Raiden is like that too, and he wants to know if Solid Snake really is this legendary hero, and then he kind of finds out he's not exactly who he thought he was, but he's still a hero in a sense, even if Snake doesn't want to admit it. So Raiden looks up to him as a hero, and then what's interesting is by the time we get to Metal Gear Solid 4, everyone wants to play as Solid Snake again because you get to play as him in Metal Gear Solid 1 and like a brief part of Metal Gear Solid 2. And then you don't get to play as him in Metal Gear Solid 3 because that's Big Boss. So we want to play Solid Snake again. But Kojima already had finished the story of Solid Snake for himself, for what he thought that story was. So what he did was, he gave the players what they wanted, but in a way that they didn't want. He made Snake an old guy who's like dying. And that's the whole thing, is like, that's Snake's whole character, is that he's like on his final mission and he's in such deep pain and he's dying because he's not meant to keep existing. Just like Kojima and the game series, it's not meant to keep existing, and he's gotten old and tired of this character. That's what Snake is. He's old and tired of this war and the purposes and the proxy wars and all of this stuff that is meaningless, all of this meaningless fighting. He's tired of it, and he's war torn, and he's beyond it all. But he has to be there because it's his mistake, his sin to atone for, and so he's got to stop Liquid, and that's what he's always been there to do, is stop Liquid. And so, but he's old now. He's got this like advanced aging thing that's based on like the gene like alterations that they did when he was cloned. Technically not. I mean, he was cloned, but he's like, he had a surrogate mother through Eva. This is why I can't get into the story, because it's just like there's so many little webs and things. But okay. So he finds out he's not a clone, but that's not relevant to this. He's like, so he altered his genes so he'd grow older fast, so that he couldn't reproduce or whatever to pass on the seed of Big Boss, which is kind of ironic because that's the whole thing that he like tells Raiden, you know, we have to pass on things to the next generation and this and that and all that. And Raiden can have a kid. Raiden does have a kid, who he finds out is his kid at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4. But Snake can't have a kid. So, yeah. Point is, Snake's an old guy now, and that's all because of this, like, gene altering and shit. Anyway, point is, this is not the Solid Snake we wanted to be playing as. The Solid Snake we wanted to be playing as was like a young, you know, Metal Gear Solid 2 or 1-esque Solid Snake, you know? That's what we all wanted again. That's not what we got. Kojima was ballsy, and he made you know, just like Raiden. It was a character we didn't want to be playing as. But guess what? We're playing a Solid Snake again. People got over it, you know? But literally the whole game, he's just coughing and hacking, and his voice has gotten really really deep, like this. It's Solid Snake. You know? He's like, he was Batman before Batman, you know, Christian Bale Batman before, I mean, technically, Batman Begins came out before, but he didn't really start doing like the serious, like the more grovelly voice until Dark Knight, which came out the same year as this. But anyway, point being that this is this Solid Snake is old and he's beaten, but now Raiden, you end up seeing Raiden in like the third chapter, right, or the second chapter, at the end of the second chapter, and you find out he's like this cyborg ninja just like Gray Fox, and now he's a badass, and he's fucking awesome, and he can like, he does all this shit with his sword, he fights Vamp, and it's amazing. Raiden is the coolest fucking shit now, and then you're like, fuck, I want to play as Raiden now, you know, because he's awesome. Then they made a whole game for that, but whatever. Point is, that was a funny thing and a funny parallel that Kojima did with his characters to kind of subvert player expectation, which was cool. I don't remember how I even got onto that topic, but that's a little thing I wanted to mention because that's a lot of fun. So, yeah, but Snake's, he's old, and he's beaten, and he's on his last mission. He just wants to take down Liquid. And then he ends up finding out, like, you know, he's basically a doomsday device because Fox Die in him is, like, melding with this new Fox Die that's going to become, like, this super virus to kill everyone or whatever. So he's like, alright, I'm just going to kill Liquid. I'm going to figure out this whole Patriots system thing. Figure out how to save the world. And then I'm just going to, you know, fucking end it all. Just take my own life. And then we're just going to, you know, the world will be fine at that point. And he's willing to accept this fate, you know? And he kind of... It's interesting because I didn't really notice it until this time around, but he kind of... I mean, maybe I did notice it before, but it's something I noticed this time around again. He kind of does a lot of reckless stuff, like smoking and whatnot. And you can see it actually in the cutscene with Naomi where she's taking his blood, and she, like, stops him from taking the cigarette, and then at one point... He's just like, well, what's the difference? Like, I'm going to die anyway. And she kind of accepts that too, and she gives him the cigarette back. And there's this whole arc about him and smoking, and it's really fucking interesting. And I love it. I love that they did something with this. It was just a joke. It was like a joke. Oh, he's badass. He smokes. You know, that's what all action heroes smoke. But it's like, they fucking did something with it. You know, like, he's literally dying. And this thing is also... affecting him, and by the end of the game, it's beautiful. He ends up, you know, Big Boss tells him, go and live your life, which everyone's been telling him all along, except he couldn't go and live his life because he had all of this stuff, all the Metal Gear sins that had happened because of him. You know, Ocelot got the data, which leads to all this Patriots stuff, all this stuff. This is all his responsibility to take care of it, he feels like. So, but once that's all over, but spoiler, I know I already said that a million times, but he finally decides, I mean, I don't know, I always interpreted that when he shoots himself in the final scene there in the cemetery, that the bullet is a blank and it's a reference to Metal Gear Solid 3, you know, where the bullet's a blank the whole time. Or whatnot. Maybe it's even the same bullet. Who knows? I don't know. That would be kind of funny, wouldn't it? Anyway, so the bullet's a blank. I assume that's you know, he shoots it, you hear the noise, but it doesn't do anything. So, yeah, I don't know. And then Big Boss gives him this whole speech, but Big Boss tells him, hey, go and live, you know, now. But he gives up his cigarettes, this thing that he's been doing the whole game, and every opportunity he gets to take, everyone keeps telling him, man, you should quit, you should quit. He gives it up. He quits smoking. And it starts a new lease on life. He could just be as destructive as he wants with his life. It's like Stranger Than Fiction. You could just eat pancakes every day if you want. I don't want to eat pancakes every day. I want to live, you know? Like, It's like that. Like, he could just keep smoking if he really wanted to. He's gonna die at some point anyway, but he's got such a new lease on life that he's like, I'm gonna make the most of the time I have left by not smoking and by giving that up so I can go and experience things and live like a real life. Because I've earned this. I've earned living my real life. And also, the feels, goddamn, like, the line, like, at the end, like, oh my god, when when Otacon's like, Snake lived a hard life, he deserves his time to rest, and I'm just like if you cry every time, because I sure do. What was the other part at the end, where it's just like, oh god, just hits you with the emotions, like, I'm trying to think. There was another line. There's another line that always gets me near the end there. But yeah, I don't know. It's just cool that they like resolve. That's such a little detail, you know, is my point. And they made this a part of the story and a part of Snake's arc. And like every character gets an arc and they get resolved here. Johnny Sasaki, a fucking the Mr. Pooh, as fucking Matthew Matosis likes to call him, Mr. Pooh. You know, he fucking shits his pants in every game. That's his only character trait. He got a fucking badass story arc, and he got to marry Meryl, and that was awesome. I like that guy now. Like, he was always a funny joke, but he was just a joke character, and they make him into a cool, fucking awesome character by the end of the series. And he, like, you know, he becomes confident, and he gets married to Meryl. I mean, she fucking ends up seeing him as somebody cool, and that's, I don't know, I just love their little relationship. I love the whole ending. I'm just gonna be jumping around so much here. I love the fucking entire ending part from pretty much that moment onward, where they start to battle in that hallway or whatever, where Meryl's there. She's like, I'm gonna protect you, Snake, and then he goes, and then Johnny comes to help her, and that's awesome. And I fucking love that. And then, you know, you really feel them, and she's all like, you know, he reveals that he doesn't have the nano machines, and she's like, oh my god, I feel so bad about that, because, you know, we were always saying such mean things to you. And then it's just like this really nice moment, and they're in the middle of this battle, and they sync all of this up with so many other nice moments. Because Snake goes into that hallway, and then eventually he gets to the room right before the microwave room. Oh, I think that's it. Really, the microwave room is the other moment where it's like, how can you not cry every time? Anyway, right before that, and he gets Raiden, is there, and then, like, all of the stuff that they were setting up throughout the whole game, throughout the whole fucking series, all culminates into this microwave room, where Snake is like, in the briefing or whatever, he's like, I've got a death wish. You'd have to have a death wish to go in there. That's me. It's the perfect job for me, because I am going to die anyway. I might as well go out in this, like, noble sacrifice. The whole thing is there's, like, this microwave room before you get to the server GW, which you can shut off all the other servers through, or something to that effect. I don't know. He has to get there to insert the worm virus, and it ends up, that's what it ends up doing, is destroying all of the other servers so that the world can be free again. Anyway, not relevant. Point is, the microwave room, what's cool about this is they did this earlier, actually, which was a shittier version of this earlier, but where you're taking out a bunch of gecko in Shadow Moses right before you get into Rex. And you're taking them all out with your railgun, which is a fucking awesome weapon, by the way. I guess we'll get to the weapons here in a bit. But you're taking them out with the railgun, or whatever, these, like, suicide gecko, and Raiden is on top of Metal Gear Rex fighting Vamp, which is really symbolic and cool because that's where Liquid and Solid Snake first fought, up there. So that's really amazing. So it's kind of like a really symbolic thing. And Raiden ends up beating Vamp in like the coolest fucking fight sequence ever. But you're like, it's like on half of the screen while you're taking out these geckos, so you can't actually watch the cool action. So it's like, why did they put it there? It could have just been like a tiny window in the corner. I don't know. I'm glad that it was there, but it's like, at the same token, you don't get to see it. So it's like, I'm glad YouTube is around, because that's immediately what I did. I paused the cutscene. Yeah, you can pause cutscenes by the way, now, which is really, really helpful. Especially since they're like so long. In case you gotta go take a piss or something. Which is some of the problems in the other games when the cutscenes were really long, and it's just like, I guess I just have to wait, So, yeah, so there's a cool thing where they kind of split screen, but it's not done as well there. But what's cool about the microwave room is all you have to do, essentially, is hold forward and keep mashing the triangle button. And it's such a fucking awesome mechanic. I hate it every time I have to do it because I suck at mashing buttons. I could have just used the pen thing, but I always like mashing the button when I can, just to kind of get the feel for it. But mashing that button makes you feel the pain that Snake is going through. So it's such a perfect metaphor. And there's always a button mashing part in every Metal Gear game, and that was the perfect moment to have it. It's so fucking well done. And on top of all of that, you get the culmination of every character's like cutscene. There's a top half and a bottom half. You're on the bottom half doing the button mashing, and on the top half you're seeing the climax to every character's arc at the same fucking time. It's the most incredible moment in any fucking like game, maybe in general, but it's like the perfect ending there. But one small piece to a fucking perfect ending. Because beyond that, there's so many other pieces, and we'll talk about them. But that right there is such an impactful scene, and I always love doing that part because everything is culminating at the same time. You're seeing, it's actually everyone kind of failing at a token too. You kind of see them be okay at the end, essentially, once he shuts down the server. But it's like, there's a part where Mei Ling is like facing down a Metal Gear Ray. There's a part where like Raiden's like cornered by the fucking Haven troopers. Same with Johnny and Meryl. They're fucking pretty much almost dead there, It's like, you see this. You see the hopelessness of the situation. The railgun is about to launch its nuke at the server to destroy the Patriots' AIs or whatever. So, and Sunny with her eggs. I know this is such a joke thing, but it's like, Sunny and her eggs is actually a pretty good character arc in this game, and it kind of represents this like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like sort of the innocence of the world and whatnot, and that's why her virus at the end kind of severs all of the bad parts and tries to rebirth the world or whatnot. And this is like her one thing, is this cooking the eggs thing. And it's just, it doesn't mean anything until like, unless you like really look into, it's just this character's arc is that this is like her thing or whatever. So, you see her finally cook the eggs. Right. I mean, she did that before because they have the whole line when Naomi's dying, like, Ryan's like, Sonny told me to tell you. I cooked him right, and this is like her sunny side up fortune telling or whatever, which means something good is gonna happen. Um, and Naomi's like, good for her, you know, she finally cooked him right. It's just one of these things like only Kojima could pull off this story arc about this little girl cooking eggs, and that being like a fucking impactful and emotional story arc. And it works. It fucking works. So, I don't know. Sunny, best character? No, just kidding. No, she's pretty good though. You know, so there's that. But all of this culminates in that final cutscene, which is really cool, and I really like that. And I mean, I know I'm just jumping everywhere, but like, we're talking about the ending. Let's talk about it. So I'll just preface this by saying the other bosses in the game are pretty good. There's five acts to the game. In the first act, the boss battle is just kind of like an escape sequence where you have to take down a bunch of Haven trooper guards, which is like, all right, whatever. In the second act, the boss battle is Laughing Octopus, which is kind of a scrapped concept from the original Metal Gear Solid game with Decoy Octopus, where they were going to have him like blend into different environmental things and whatnot. And then that's actually what Laughing Octopus does, which is pretty cool. And she like disguises herself and stuff. That's a pretty cool boss fight. Raging Raven is like an okay one. There's a bunch of like decoys and there's like multiple levels to this tower and stuff, and you just have to like find Raging Raven. She's probably like the weakest of the bosses, but she's all right. And if you have the rail gun, it doesn't take that much effort anyway. You just 2 hits and she's dead. So, you know what else I like about all of the bosses? They're like, if you're trying to do a non-lethal game, which I've done, a totally non-lethal big boss run. This is like the one Metal Gear Solid game I've actually like 100%ed pretty much. And did all of the emblems, all of that, and I got the big boss emblem and everything. If you're trying to do that, taking out the bosses, each of the bosses, other than like the guards or whatever, non-lethally is super easy because all you have to do is take out their first form, and then they always have a beauty form, which like chases after you, and you just have to take out that form non-lethally, which is very helpful, and I'm glad that they did that. So, yeah. Anyway, so the third one is Crying Wolf, which is actually a really cool sort of callback to the end for Metal Gear Solid 3 and that fight. It's a really good sniper battle. It actually in the same area that you fight Sniper Wolf in for the second time in Metal Gear Solid 1, but a more open version of that area. So that's a really cool fight. And there's like a snowstorm going on. There's guards everywhere, so you kind of have to balance all of these things to fight Crying Wolf, which I think, so she's probably one of the best boss fights in the game. And then in the fourth area, no, that is the fourth area. In the fifth area, in the Outer Haven, which is like an arsenal gear, which is cool. It's like a callback to that. Well, you fight Screaming Mantis. Okay, Screaming Mantis is a pretty cool fight. It's a callback to Psycho Mantis, which you actually figure out that Psycho Mantis is controlling Screaming Mantis, which the Sorrow is controlling Psycho Mantis. It's not really clear how that works, but so, oh, here we go. Hold on. I'll get back to the bosses in a second. First, we gotta do something. We gotta jam out. This isn't the payoff to the jamming out joke, by the way, Jameson, in case you're watching. It's not. It's not the payoff, but we are jamming out. And I didn't think of this, but this was gonna happen. This was inevitable. This is the song from Jamming Out. See, this is how old Jamming Out is that this song was, like, new at that time. This is a fucking killer soundtrack too. Like, okay, I know I'm so sidetracking everywhere. The music in this game is fucking phenomenal. It has the right amount of atmosphere stuff. This kind of stuff, like the escape sequence stuff, is great. The emotional stuff is fucking-tastic. The Metal Gear Saga theme, father and son, goddamn, Old Snake is one of the greatest themes in video games. This is like almost a near flawless soundtrack. At least, like, you know, the main songs are. Oh, it's amazing. So fucking good. Yeah, like, it might be one of the best Metal Gear soundtracks too, which is hard to say. I personally think the first one is probably the best one, but this might be fucking number 2 in terms of soundtracks. Which, yeah. Hell yeah. This soundtrack is fucking dope. Anyway, that's the song from Jammin' Out, by the way. I already said that. This is not the payoff to that joke. Anyway. It's a minor payoff, but this is something else later, so don't worry about that. Anyway. Music in this game's great, so there we go. We got that out of the way. Boss battles. The greatest single boss battle ever in video games. Outside of maybe the end, which I think is probably the actual greatest boss battle in video games ever. Maybe a close number 2 or tied for first place. Liquid versus Solid fucking Snake. The gravity of that moment is so immense and fucking awesome. It's not even like anything crazy of a boss fight, but the emotional emotional baggage and all of the plight of Big Boss. I don't think so. Sorry, it's a Zan joke. Anyway, the emotional, like, fortitude. I don't know, the emotional gravitas of this moment. At the end of everything, you fighting Liquid. Solid Snake fighting Liquid. A callback, really, to Metal Gear Solid 1 and the fight on top of Rex. Your last thing you have to do, like, the Patriots have been destroyed. Everything's good. The last thing you have to do is take down Liquid once and for all. And really, you're just taking down Ocelot, because Liquid is just Ocelot, and he's just pretending to be Liquid to get to the Patriots or whatever. But you have to take down Liquid once and for all, and it is the single greatest use of fan service ever in a video game. Like, ever. The fight scene leading up to it is incredible, and they're playing Metal Gear Saga the whole time, which just really hits you in the feels. And then when it gets to the climax of that, they're both laying there on the ground. Boom! They stick the syringes in each other's necks, which are like these syringes that like give you energy or whatever. That they've been using the whole game. Oh yeah, by the way, the whole part where like Snake, he's been using the syringe the whole game to kind of counter this like fox die thing, and then like his like aging and all of that. He's been using it to counter that. And then at the very end, when he's in the hallway with Raiden near the end there, and he stops, he you know, it stops being as effective because he's been using it the whole game, just like Naomi said. And it's like the perfect moment for that to happen, and it's like, oh my god, like, wow, like it's so emotional, especially the first time you do it. Oh, and then he's like Raiden, you know, Raiden's like, I don't have anything to fight for, and he's like, you've got your family, and he's like, they don't mean anything to me, and he's like, Raiden, you still have your youth, you can still live, essentially. And this is what he's been trying to tell him since Metal Gear Solid 2, you know? It's like damn, like, it's super emotionally impactful. Anyway, back to the Liquid fight. they're fighting, and it's amazing, and it's awesome in this cutscene. Then they stick the syringes into each other's necks at the very end there. It's like a mutual thing, and you see the life bars come up that are the life bars from Metal Gear Solid 1, and you're like, oh, fuck yeah! Is this happening? Are we gonna fight Liquid again? And then you stand up, and they both get up, and the life bars are there, and then the music, the counter from Metal Gear Solid 1 starts playing, and you're like, this is the most fucking amazing thing ever. This is the coolest use of fan service ever in all of existence. This is fucking awesome. You just get so hyped to fucking fight Liquid. And then it's even better. There's stages to the battle. It's like, okay, so you fight him in that Metal Gear 1 style. And that's the cool thing about the fight too, is that each section has kind of a style of fighting that's like similar to those games. So in the first section, it's a lot of kick, punch, kick, or punch, kick, punch, kick, like you do in the first game. That's your moveset in the first game when you're doing the action stuff. So that's kind of your primary way of taking him down there. And then the second one is more of the combat from the second game, the second part of the fight. So like in the first part of the fight, he's kind of channeling Liquid. And in the second part of the fight, you see like the flashback things and he's kind of channeling Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid 2. And so, yeah, the first part's really cool. And then, you have Encounter. That's really awesome. And the second part, you hear the music from the tanker, which is cool. And you're fighting Ocelot. The second part is definitely the hardest part, for sure, by the way. And what's cool is there's like a dodge button, so you have to like dodge around him, and you have to like weave and dodge back and forth and just avoid his attacks, because his attacks are powerful, especially in that second form. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, it's like the camera style like moves in closer to kind of reflect the way the camera in the controls and whatnot were of that era. And then okay, so like that's the tanker one, and then the third one, you see he's channeling young Ocelot, and you're like, oh shit, Metal Gear Solid 3, and then fucking if Snake Eater does not fucking start playing, and you're just like, oh my god, they're playing Snake Eater. This is badass. This is amazing. I love this. And he's even doing like, he's like, what? Like it's like no more judo. Like he's doing like these little hand poses or whatever. I'm just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Yeah, and so, you can do more CQC stuff there, and then that's cool. And then the fourth part is just like, you hear old Snake come in, it's like, really somber moment between these two old guys, and like, you're still feeling the fan service, but it's like, all of that kind of fades, and it's just like this really somber piece, and it's like, you start to realize that like these two are old, and it's just really it captures all the stuff before that is like hype, and you're like hyped, and you're getting all nostalgic and stuff, and you're there, and it's the perfect culmination of the series, and it's like now we're like bringing it down, and it's emotional. It's like it's not like we're not like boom, but it's just like they're tired out, they're dying essentially at that point, and they're at the end of their ropes, and you've just brought it down to that level, and then you finally punch him with the last blow, and he falls over and dies. First he's got to deliver his epic monologue about all that stuff, but anyway, so yeah, greatest boss fight in video games ever, pretty much, right at the end of this game. So that's another great aspect to it. And then, if that weren't enough, that would have been a great enough ending as is. They do a whole thing where they wrap up everybody's story even after that. The whole Snake lived a hard life thing, and they wrap up all the answers. Drebin's like part of the Patriots, and all this and that, and blah blah blah, and a bunch of story stuff, and they wrap everything up nicely. Meryl gets married to Johnny, and she makes up with the Colonel, and And then it cuts to Raiden and his thing, and he learns to love his family, and they're gonna have a great life together. Because Rising Revengeance isn't canon. I'm just kidding. It's canon or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? And then you see Snake, and he's in the graveyard, and he shoots himself, and then blah blah blah. You know, like that's the thing. And then then we see. I think then it cuts back to Otacon and that again, and then like Sunny's like. That's the part where Sunny's like, when's Snake coming back? And Otacon's just like crying, and he's like, Snake had a hard life. He's sick. He needs some time to rest. We're not going with him. We can't do that. And that's it. When it's earlier on when Otacon's like, who fucking says it to him? Like, somebody's like, where's that Snake at? And then Otacon's like, that guy always keeps you waiting. And I'm just like, no. That's a great line, but like, no. Yeah, like if you cry every time on that one too. Oh, jeez. That's the other line, yeah. I'm just like, oh, God. So, not only that, and then you get the whole culmination with Big Boss at the end, which is like one of the greatest spoiler reveals ever. That Big Boss is still alive somehow. Because in Act 3, when that music there was just playing, they burn his body on this river in Europe called the Volta or whatever. We end up finding out it's Solidus's body that they were keeping alive, and everyone thought it was Big Boss's body, but since he's genetically the same as Solidus, like, his DNA worked for the thing that they needed it for at the time. So yeah, you can see the storyline is really complicated, but it's really good, and it ties up all the loose ends, and it wraps up its characters brilliantly. I don't want to get into it all because it's really, 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 really fucking complicated. And there are so many other fucking awesome videos, and that shouldn't be the excuse, but I would get so many details wrong. I don't even care. The story is fucking incredible. And it, like I said, it's the perfect culmination, the perfect ending to Solid Snake's story arc, to everyone's story arc. Ryan and everyone. You get the perfect ending here. Even Big Boss's story arc gets a perfect ending here. It's beautiful. And it's well told. It's wonderfully done. Yeah, it's silly and cheesy sometimes, but guess what, guys? It's fucking Metal Gear Solid. What are you expecting? Do you not remember Metal Gear Solid 2, where we introduced a vampire into the series, and like all the wacky shit that happened in that game, and all the wacky shit that happened in Metal Gear Solid 3? What's with the fucking, like the end? He's like a photosynthetic man. The spider, the fear. He's a spider dude or whatever. The Fury, who like you talk about for like 5 seconds before he shows up or whatever, and then he's like an astronaut from space. Like, what the fuck? The Pain that has bees. He controls bees. And the shit Metal Gear Solid 4 is fucking silly. Are you kidding me? Do you guys not remember Metal Gear Solid 3? Jesus Christ. Like, come on. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So yeah. So we talked about the music so far. We talked about the story, which is, music's amazing. The story's awesome. The characters get so much justice done. Everything gets so much justice done. The ending is fucking incredible. The greatest ending to any franchise ever. Pretty much, bar none. It's ridiculous. It's such a good ending. So fucking good. So fucking good. And you get all of the fan service and everything you want. Everything is there. It's tied up nicely. It's beautiful. It's fucking emotional. So emotional. I played this game bazillions of times and I'm still emotionally impacted by it. I gotta say, the other ones, like Like maybe Metal Gear Solid 2, even Metal Gear Solid 1 to some extent. I played them so many times now that like I'm kind of numb to a lot of... I mean, okay, Metal Gear Solid 1, that still gets me, especially at the end, you know. Life's not all about win and loss, Snake, and all that stuff, like, you know, and then they bring that back in this game, which is funny. I guess Metal Gear Solid 3, too. They're all emotional and good, but I'm just saying, like, the endings to all the games are amazing, but it's like, they don't impact me as much as they used to, because, I mean, they're still pretty high tier in terms of impacting me, but, like, the Metal Gear Solid 4 ending is always, like, super impactful, what I'm saying, you know, but, so the ending is amazing. I guess gameplay-wise, it's interesting because they've taken a more action-oriented route. They give you the option to have a more action-oriented route. The game is still really built around stealth, and everyone will say, oh, it's an action game now. No, it's not. It's not necessarily an action game. There's a lot more action elements to the game, but it's still essentially built around stealth. It's just that they took a lot of the really simulation-y aspects out of Metal Gear Solid 3, such as you still have to eat food and stuff to keep up your psych gauge, but it's not like, you know, you get hungry over time and all of that. It's not like that really anymore. Metal Gear Solid 3 had like all of the camo stuff. It's just been simplified down to like, you press up against something and you get camo from that. Okay, cool. You know, it's super easy now. It's like, you don't have to switch out camos or any of that. A bunch of that kind of stuff. Oh, healing your wounds and stuff. You don't have to do all that stuff anymore. It's all just kind of taken care of for you now. So, yes, you can focus on the stealth and the action and stuff. And I remember back then thinking that, like, oh, that kind of sucks that they had to take that out. And I still feel like that now. But I understand why they had to do it because it's a different game. And you're not playing as Big Boss again. So it's a different sort of thing anyway. You're not surviving in a jungle. We are in kind of one area. You know, not really even in that area, but it's more of an action gameplay because it's, you know, war, constant war, the proxy wars, all of that kind of stuff. This endless, pointless war. That's what the game is about, and that's what you're there doing and trying to stop. So it would make sense that the game would be more action-oriented. It ties in with the story, it makes sense, it works. Yeah. But the stealth is still there in full force, and the level design and stuff is still built around stealth. You're still meant to sneak around. Sneak around. I know, I've probably made that in every Metal Gear video so far, that joke, but you're still meant to do that, but you can go in guns a-blazing if you want. I mean, it works sometimes. It's not going to work on the higher difficulties too well for you, but yeah, it's an option now, and that's totally a legitimate way to do it. And there are some more action-oriented segments in here, and that might turn some people off, but guess what? I like that. I think that's cool. I think it was well done, especially with the way they needed to tell the story and whatnot. I thought that worked, you know? So, I think the action gameplay still holds up really well. It's actually like third person now. I mean, you can go into first person to shoot, but you can also do like a third person shooting kind of thing, which is interesting. So yeah. And the amount of weapons you can get in this game is just insane. Like, you have all of the weapons from the older games, essentially, plus, like, so many more. And the cool thing is there's a system now in place where there's this guy, Drebin, and you essentially can either buy weapons from him, or weapons you pick up in the field will get sold to him, and then he can unlock the weapons for you for like a small fee or whatever. They all get converted into like money, Drebin points that you can use towards buying weapons and ammo and that kind of stuff. And that that the Drebin points build up over multiple playthroughs. So that's cool. And then eventually that's how you get the stealth camo and the bandana, is by getting enough Drebin points. I think there's a way to get those in game too by doing a certain thing, but like it's like really hard to do and stuff. So I don't know. And I kind of just got them the other way, but there's also like secret guns like the Patriot that you get by I think beating the big boss. You got to get the big boss emblem or something to get the Patriot, where you can just download it like I did. But I also got it from doing the big boss emblem thing too, so that's cool. But yeah, there's a lot of weapon variety. There's a lot of customization to weapons. You can add like suppressors and scopes and all sorts of grips and all sorts of stuff to your weapons. It's really pretty cool. So you can just kind of find whatever weapon works best for you and go with it, you know? And most weapons, you can like suppress them and stuff, which is cool. So you can keep them for like stealth sections or whatnot, as long as you're kind of careful with them, which is neat. So yeah, the gameplay is really good and it holds up super well, like I was saying earlier, which is awesome. I guess here, yeah, let's just get that out of the way quick. Graphically, the game looks beautiful, and it still is super impressive. The animations on like all of the characters and stuff, and just everything looks really, really good, still to this day. And like it's mind blowing that this came out only like 3 years after Metal Gear Solid 3, because the leap is just insane, you know. And it still looks better. It's probably like one of the best looking PS3 games outside of like maybe The Last of Us or something. I don't know. I think it might even look better than that in some ways. Yeah, it's still pretty much one of the best looking PS3 games. It's so impressive, especially for the time of 2008. Like damn, like it's fucking amazing game for 2008. It's still an amazing game now too, is my point. So, anyway, let's see, what else? Okay. So what I want to go over was each of the sections. So you start off in the Middle East. You're trying to track down Liquid and whatnot. So that area kind of is reflective of the new like Metal Gear Solid 4 style of gameplay and stuff. And it's not really reflective of any of the other games, but what's interesting is each area is kind of reflective of one of the other games. So the second area in South America is reflective of Metal Gear Solid 3 in environment wise, but also has, you know, some more modern shooter kind of elements like the Metal Gear Solid 4 stuff. But the environment, and there's just a lot of referencing to Metal Gear Solid 3. There's even a section where you have to like track footprints through sort of I don't know, like a more natural area is what I'm trying to say, I guess. So it's just like a really quiet mission, sort of like it would have been in Metal Gear Solid 3, to where you have to pay attention to your surroundings and whatnot, which is pretty cool. And then the fourth area, or the third area, actually is also sort of like that, but it's also new in a sense, where you have to kind of track the whole area pretty much, other than the escape sequence and then the boss battle, and that's it really. The whole area is just you're tracking this one guy through like 5 different areas of this city, and there's probably more than that, honestly. And he can take like this really alternate route that fucking sucks to track him through. It's just a pain in the ass to do it that you better hope he doesn't take the alternate route, but I think he always does on like the harder difficulties. So like, yeah, fuck that. But you're like tracking him, and you have to like stealth your way behind him and watch him and figure out where he's going like the whole time, and keep him safe from like the guards and stuff, and take down the guards along the way. And that's a big majority of that section in Europe there. And then there's an escape sequence there, which is the jamming out section there, which is awesome. But my point is that kind of reflects, both of those actually kind of reflect Metal Gear Solid 3, and the fact that Big Mama is Eva, the leader of the Resistance there, who has Big Boss's body, which ends up being Solid as his body. But yeah, so that part's also very reflective of Metal Gear Solid 3. If any game didn't get a lot of reflecting into this, was Metal Gear Solid 2. Because then you go back to Shadow Moses in the fourth part, and that's obviously very referential to Metal Gear Solid 1. You're in the exact same area and stuff. So, very referential back to that. I guess if anything, the haven, the outer haven at the end there is kind of reminiscent of like part of Metal Gear Solid 2 there. So there's that. That they took a lot of the elements and gameplay styles and stuff of the older games and made them specific sections in this game, which I thought was really cool. So it kind of feels like a culmination of all of the best parts of the older games, which is really neat. I almost kind of wish, I know that they didn't really do it after 2 again, but there was a lot of like puzzle stuff in 2, like the part where you're sniping the little the C4 things when you're going on the connecting bridges there. I almost wish they would have done more stuff like that in this game, or just some, just little points like that would have been nice. But no, it's just pretty much a straight action thing through. There's not a lot of like that kind of stuff. It's just action and stealth gameplay to get through. So I don't know, a little variety like that might have been nice, but there's so much like secrets and extra stuff to find, little flashbacks like off the beaten path and stuff. There'll be like these little audio flashbacks, like there's like a crop circle and you get to hear the thing from Metal Gear Solid 2 where he's like, I was riding home in my car last Thursday or whatever. I saw a bright light in the distance. You get to hear all that from crazy Colonel AI from Metal Gear Solid 2 or whatever, which is funny. And then in Shadow Moses especially, there's flashbacks like all over the fucking place, so that's really cool. Little references all over there. It's just really neat stuff. I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, but the game is just a celebration of Metal Gear Solid, and that's what I love, I think, about it, is that not only is it a great ending, but it celebrates everything that came before. And maybe that really is, I think, what makes it such a great ending, is that you get great callbacks to everything that was before and everything the franchise means and is, and it ties up all of the themes and the meaning behind the game super nicely, which is really cool. And it ties into all of the character arcs, which just makes the game as a whole just that much more insanely awesome. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to really say about. I could just go into it and be like, oh hey, this thing's really cool, or this thing's really cool, or hey, remember this reference or whatever. But it's like, there's really no point in doing all of that. Because I guess if you haven't played the game, you shouldn't be watching this video if you haven't played the game, but you should play it. You should play the series. But yeah, I love the game. Obviously, there's so many cool things about the game. I'm sure I forgot something. Here, let's take a look through the guide here quick. Let's just see if we'll just flip through it quick, just see if I forgot anything. Yeah, I already talked about the weapons and the face camo. I talked about the part where you fucking battle Metal Gears. That's amazing. The East, yeah, the Europe and all that. Yep. The bosses, Raiden. Yep. Okay. I guess one of the other things is that there's these like insane emblem achievements where like one of them's like you gotta inch your way along, like it's called the inchworm, and you just like crawl a bunch. Here, let's look up those actually, because I want to like talk about these, because I got all of these, but some of them are just like busy work, but some of them are just like really funny. Oh yeah, Metal Gear Online actually came with this game. I remember playing that back in the day. So that's kind of interesting. They don't obviously have that up anymore, but let's see. Where are the emblems at? You know they're in here. Dragon's Shop. But yeah, there's these emblems where you do all sorts of insane stuff, and they'll actually get you some pretty cool items, and some of them are just because they're emblems or whatever. I think it actually comes after the Metal Gear Online stuff. Oh yeah, here we go. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of little secrets and whatnot that you can sort of unlock and whatnot. And in cutscenes, there's you can hit the X button to see little flashbacks and stuff to older games. So here are some of the top tier ones. They have these in like every game, but the Big Boss one, the Foxhound one, and the Fox one. Those are all essentially just like as few alerts as possible on variable difficulties. So like you gotta go for the Fox one, you gotta go solid, normal, or higher. You got 6 hours of gameplay. You can't use any rations. You can't kill anybody. You can't continue at all. And you have to have less than 5 alert phases, which is pretty crazy. That one's not so bad. But then you get, you do it on Big Boss Hard, less than 5.5 hours. And then less than 3 alert phases, 0 kills, 0 continues, 0 regains. And then same 0, 0, 0, and then also 0 alert phases for the Big Boss one, and then less than 5 hours, which I also did on the Boss Extreme, which is crazy. And then, there's a bunch of those where it's like the difficulty ones, but there's ones where it's like, you can still gain them by doing that, but like the Wolf one is like 0 continues, 0 health items used, so that's, that, so you get that if you do the other ones. The Raven is less than 5 hours, so you get that if you do that. Complete MGS4 with no alert phases, that's the Octopus, so you get that if you did the other ones. Defeat 100 or more enemies with CQC chokeholds, that's the Bear, so that's another one. That's like, I just want to go over these because they're kind of crazy, like, that's kind of a lot. You have to do that in one playthrough, so, perform 150 headshots, that's not so hard to do, but that's the Eagle one. The Assassin, defeat enemies defeated with knife kills or knife stuns. Number of CQC chokeholds. Number of times discovered, you gotta be less than 25. So that's pretty cool. It's like a Assassin's Creed kind of thing there. If you don't kill anybody, you get the pigeon. You have to, there's one where you have to like give items to militias and rebels in like the first 2 areas of the game or whatever, which is like a mechanic that like I don't even remember how you do that, but yeah, that you have to do that like 50 times. You can get praised by militia people, and you got to do that 25 times to get a Hawk one. Little Gray, acquire 69 unique weapons including the 1911, or 70 including or excluding the 1911, and then 70 including the 1911. So yeah, that's kind of hard to do. Perform 50 or more body searches. That's the ant. You get the gibbon if you perform 50 or more holdups. Spend 60 minutes inside of a drum or cardboard box. The tortoise. So like, I remember I would just like leave the game on in an area that's not dangerous. You know, just being inside of one of these things, and then like come back to it later or something. That's how I did it. Like when I did this all last year. The rabbit. Turn 100 pages of the Playboy or Emotion magazine. Like, you know, it's just so random. The bee. Scan or inject PMC soldiers with the scanning plug or syringe, respectively, on 50 or more occasions. That's actually kind of hard to do. I actually just sat in the same area and would keep doing the same guy with that. The gecko, spend an hour or more clinging to a wall. Another one I would just kind of like leave the game on with. The scarab, perform 100 rolls. I would just roll 100 times at the same spot just to kind of get it. Roll or jump to the side 200 or more times. That's the frog. The inchworm is crawl for more than 60 minutes. I got that one on this playthrough, so that's pretty cool. Crouch for 2.5 hours. That's the lobster. Pick up 400 or more items. That's the hyena. The hog is enter 10 or more combat highs. I remember that one because I had to do that one. Use 40 or more rations, noodle, regains. That's pretty easy to do. That's the pig. Less than 100 alert phases, which I mean is not that hard to do. Which is the cow. Less than 400 crocodile. Less than 400 kills is crocodile. Giant panda. Less than... Or wait. Oh, these are more than. You have to get more than 400 kills for the crocodile. More than 30 hours of game time for the giant panda, which is harder than you would think to do. I literally would just have to let it sit in certain areas to make that work. But I did that. Then there's just a bunch of random ones where it's like, you need this, you need more kills or less kills, more game time, less game time, number of continues, and it's like all those, and then yeah, just a bunch of variations on the same thing there. And the chicken is like one of the hardest ones to do. It's so you need to have more than 150 alert phases, more than 500 kills. The alert phases was hard enough. I remember doing this. The alert phases were hard enough. More than 50 continues. So what I did with the 50 continues was there's this hole when you're going to Rex. It's the hole right before Rex. I just went there and rolled into it 50 times to die and continue. And then you have to use more than 50 life regaining items. But not only that, you have to play the game. You have to have a 35-hour or more game time, which is just ridiculous. So yeah, kind of crazy. And then, oh yeah, I forgot. There's the solar gun from Boktai there, because Kojima made that. That's kind of funny. Yeah, the bandana. So if you complete the game without killing a single soldier or any of the bosses, you'll get the bandana. Okay, so that's not so bad. I mean, yeah, I can see getting that legitimately. How do you get the stealth camo? You gotta get it without initiating a single alert phase. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that's not so bad actually. That can be done. I had to do that obviously for the big boss run. It's harder than it sounds though, because it really, I mean, it probably sounds pretty hard, but it's doable. There's a lot of reloading and whatnot, but yeah, just take some patience and practice, but you can get it down. There are some really hard parts though. to not kill anybody on the desperate escape sequence, jamming out in the middle in the third act is, especially on Big Boss or on Boss Extreme, is fucking legendarily hard. That was the hardest thing, one of the hardest things I've ever done in a game, and it took me probably a few weeks to like perfect that. It was annoying. I hated that. But other than that, yeah. It was like a fun challenge for most of some of those were kind of stupid, like, getting all those emblems, but I definitely did all the emblems. So yeah, I guess the other thing is I want to show off this collector edition, limited edition, which I got at when we went to a Midwest Gaming Classic. I think the first one. It actually comes with some cool stuff. So it comes with this DVD, or the Blu-ray of, actually there's the soundtrack, which I didn't realize was in here. That's pretty cool. But this Blu-ray is like the making of Metal Gear Solid 4. You can look that up on YouTube. It's actually on there. It's a pretty interesting little documentary there. And then obviously a second copy of the game there, a really nice minty copy of the game there. This feels kind of heavy. What's in there? Oh, it's just the guide, or the manuals. Oh my god, there's a manual in there. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, no shit. That's why it's heavy, because games these days don't come with manuals. But yeah, it's just a cool little thing. Really like having that. So it's always in my display case back there. Yeah, you can see my original copy here. It has like cat litter speckles on it. It's not worth getting off, but anyway, it's just kind of funny. Yeah, so Metal Gear Solid 4, one of the craziest and awesome, most awesome games I've ever played. It lived up and surpassed the hype. I still prefer the original Metal Gear Solid, maybe purely for nostalgia reasons. I don't know. I don't think it is just that, though. I think that the game... Man, it's so hard because one can't be great without the other. If you don't have Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 4 isn't as great as it is, but Metal Gear Solid 4 enhances Metal Gear Solid 1 so much because you know where Metal Gear Solid 1 is leading to. But Metal Gear Solid 1 is just such a great game at the same time. I think just because my connection with Metal Gear Solid 1, it gains the advantage by just a little bit. But Metal Gear Solid 4 is definitely like a top tier sort of game. Obviously for me, it's my number 3 game of all time. It used to be above Metal Gear Solid 1 as my favorite game of all time, when Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 4 were my favorite games, and those were kind of the contenders for my favorite games of all time. Then I ended up putting Tomba up there because that just, I don't know, that game means more to me, I suppose. I don't know. It's tough, and this is why it's always tough to quantify those 3, but those are definitely like my 3 favorite games, like for sure. So it's hard, but that's what I'm saying is like Metal Gear Solid 1, it just means a lot to me. Not that 4 doesn't. 4 means a lot to me, but yeah, but that's why it's at my number 3. So that's just where I decided to put it. But yeah, it lived up to the hype. It surpassed the hype. The music is incredible. The emotional storyline and the payoff to the emotions of the whole series, and the character arcs, and the storyline, everything related to that is some of the best stuff ever. And it's one of the greatest endings to a franchise. It's the greatest ending to a franchise ever. Um, it's worth playing the whole series just for that. It's worth playing the whole series just to play the whole series, but just for that, for this game. Um, the gameplay still holds up really well. There's so much content. I guess is really what I was getting at with the emblems. There's so much content and whatnot, and so many secrets and so many extra things that you'll find on repeat playthroughs. And so much love for the fans. It's just such an incredible experience. Actually, this here, I think I've showed it off before. This is my special Metal Gear Solid controller. This is my best PS3 controller, just because I don't know, it is. And I love it, but I use it for all the Metal Gear games because it's got like the camo or whatnot. So that's cool. But anyway, yeah, this is just such a fantastic game, such a fantastic ending to a franchise. It's amazing. It's wonderful. It's a 10 out of 10 game. I love it. Hopefully you love it too. And you're not one of those idiots who's like, Metal Gear Solid 4 was a mistake. And I'm just like, yeah, no, it wasn't. No, it was amazing. Some people fucking think this game is like too silly or they hate it or something. And I could never understand that because it's just so incredible. And it was always incredible. I love it. That's about all there is to it. So, yeah. Perfect. 10 out of 10. JZNES saying, keep it classic, stick around for more reviews, underrated games. I'll see you guys in the next one. JZ